Okay, so I think it was around October last year that I realized that conferences were coming back live. And a friend of mine, Chris Heilman, had an extra ticket to City JS at the beach. So I joined the conference, and upon talking to another friend that was actually speaking at the conference, she told me that that it's good to be back on stage. And I told her, well, had I known, I would definitely apply to speak about something. And she asked me, what would you be speaking about? I told her I would be probably speaking about PWAs. And her answer was more or less on the side of PWAs, like you still going on with that, because, that's so 2019. Now, first of all, in retrospective, 2019 wasn't that bad of a year, And secondly, that brought a lot of attention to the fact that PWA is no longer the buzzword, kind of like the cool topic that people want to be hearing about. So it's just a tad more difficult to try to get attention to the platform. I did try to suggest, with all kind of like the rage, to be fair, that was going on with the Greek alphabet, Delta, Omicron, the next one is Pi. I thought, well, why don't we just rebrand and, we can go for something like PWAs. Maybe this would get some attention. And I must say this did not fly well with the team, I guess for obvious reasons. But upon continuing with some research, I found out that basically there were a bunch of PWA common misconceptions that users and developers had alike. The first one is that, a PWA is only for offlining mobile applications, kind of like back in the day where a PWA was used to pretty much add an icon to your home screen. The other one is that it's just a wrapped website, and this is something that we keep on getting. It can be just a wrapped website if you don't properly integrate it with the platform. And the third one is that this is just old tech from years ago, and it's really a stale concept that hasn't evolved. And this couldn't be further from the truth, because nowadays, just a quick fact check, we know that they're the real way of doing cross-platform applications, and you actually gain a lot of benefits from coding with PWAs. You have now proper integration with the platform where you're running. And of course, there's a growing list of evolving capabilities that we keep on shipping to the platform. And you might not have realized it, but there are, at the moment, a lot of applications that even on some platforms, their main application is a PWA, or on other platforms, they do have the option to go PWA. And definitely something that we've kept on realizing at Microsoft Edge is that users are spending hundreds of millions of minutes every day on PWAs with a steady year-over-year growth. And this is only talking about the desktop platform. So they're strong, they're, I would say, bigger than ever. And it kind of brought the idea of making this presentation because I think that desktop is the new frontier for progressive web apps. So I'm Diego Gonzalez. I am the program manager at Microsoft that deals with every single PWA feature that gets into the Edge browser. Now, I'm not gonna explain here the basics of PWA. If you are interested in learning more, then you can just go to ak.ms/PWA and you'll find all the information that you need to get started. And if your interest on the other side is how to either package a PWA to distribute in the store or to get a website converted into PWA, then definitely the best place to start is the pwabuilder.com. Now, this presentation is going to be pretty much a quick list of a lot of features that we've shipped over the past year. So it's a lot of cutting edge stuff that either has shipped or will be shipping very, very soon. And just as, I guess, a point of reference, this is the pointer. It's a demo PWA that pretty much just creates custom colored PWA logos. And we're going to be using this application throughout the presentation just to highlight a couple of the features that appear. But yeah, it just creates and saves PWA logos. So we're going to start with UX and UI improvements. And I guess the first one and the biggest one that we've actually launched recently, is a new way to manage your applications. And indeed, we have this new way of managing the applications that you are installing. And these applications can be installed either from the browser directly or from the Microsoft Store. They will be appearing in this new page that's enabled in Edge. It will have a list or a grid of installed applications. And in here, you're going to be able to check origin permissions. You're going to be able to set the relevant application settings, and you're going to be able to perform management tasks. So, for example, if you needed to uninstall the application, this is possibly the best way that you're going to be able to do it. This is a screenshot of how Edge Apps looks at the moment. And actually, we started rolling out in Canary very recently the application sync. So if you've installed a PWA on your profile on another device, it's going to be appearing in this list, and you're going to be able to very easily install it onto your machine. And also, there's this new way of kind of having like a small launcher for your applications, which is the Apps Hub, which if you enable it, we'll get this little button here right next to the Omnibox that will display either a list or a grid of the PWAs that you've recently used or installed. Once you go into the details of every single installed PWA, you're going to see here that you have either some sort of engagement driver. You can pretty much make sure that your PWA is going to be present in the surface in the platform where you want it. So if it's Windows, you can see that you can put in the taskbar, start, create a shortcut menu, or similar. And you're going to be definitely seeing more and more advanced capabilities and settings appearing on this specific page. The other feature is that we've recently launched, that we are about to launch is Window Controls Overlay. Now, I'm really excited about this feature because it pretty much frees the area that's generally occupied by the title bar in the OS. And it frees it, for you to put any web content that you like. It's a feature that will be supported, and we're working on Windows, macOS, Chrome OS. When you see the Chrome logo, it's not Chrome, it's Chrome OS, sorry. It's weird they have the same logo for a different thing. And Linux platforms. And the way that you would use it is that you enable this feature in the manifest file. It works in JavaScript in case you need to monitor any changes of the sizing of the overlay. And we have new CSS environmental variables that allow you to position content exactly in the area that previously would be occupied by the title bar. So if you enable this feature and you have a blank installed PWA, on the left, you're going to see how it will look on Windows or on Linux. And on the right, you're going to see the available space that you have on Mac. But you might be wondering, why would we spend so much time developing something like this? Well, I want you to take a look at these two applications. One is the platform-specific Mac app for Spotify, and the other one is the Spotify PWA. If you pay close attention, you're going to see that the only thing that's really keeping one from looking as modern as the other one is the title bar. So there you go. You're welcome. Now we're going to continue with OS integrations. This feature was the first one that I worked on when I joined the team. It's run an OS login. It's pretty self-explanatory. It just pretty much enables an installed web application to start when you log into your session. It's supported on Windows, macOS, and Linux. And for this, you will have to go to Edge Apps, which is the settings page that I commented before, and you can enable by toggling the feature on or off. This is how it looks on running on Linux. You can see there the toggle for auto start on device login, and this is very handy if you have some messaging applications or some other type of PWA that you need to always start when you log into the system. I'm going to follow up with shortcuts. Now, this is kind of like an older one. It's been present. It has wide feature support across different platforms. But I think this one is really interesting because it's a way that allows developers to deep link into their application, into a specific part of the PWA from a different surface on the platform that they may be on. This is enabled by setting a new field in the manifest file, which you would put where is it going to be linking to, what's the icons that it might display on the platform, and what's the link. And this is how it looks on Windows 11 when you have a PWA link to the taskbar that you can see that, oh, it's very blurry, but pretty much you can create different logos right from there. This is how it would look on an Android device. Again, you see that you have the two shortcuts that are appearing there on the menu. And just for the sake of being multi-platform, we can see how it looks on the Linux launcher and on the macOS dock. So all of these are linking and will start your PWA directly on a specific part of the application. We're continuing with file handling, and this one, allows to register upon installation a PWA as a handler for files in the operating system. It's supported on Windows, Mac, and Chrome OS, and in a very similar fashion to the past APIs and features that we've been talking, is something that you enable through the manifest file, and it works to process the file with JavaScript. So the cool thing about this is that when we're talking about OS integrations, you get the type of experiences where you might have a file. In this case, the pointer is registered as a handler for comma-separated values, because we have 3 colors, so we can have a CSV file that has 3 different hex values, and then it will just create a logo based on the colors that are specified in this file. So what's really cool is that if you right-click on the file, you can go to Open With, and you can see that your PWA is going to be listed there as any other application in the system. You can even set it as a default if you wanted. File system access. This is something that I think was missing from the platform for a long, long time, and I think it's part of what a user expects, to be able to read and write to the file system. It's finally here. It's enables, of course, access to the platform's file system for reading and writing it. It's supported across different platforms, and it's a JavaScript API. In the case of our demo app, we are actually using it to create an SVG file, and we are specifying in the code that we want, since we're dealing with an image, we can just open the pictures folder and already pre-populate name and file type. So it's a nice way to pre-filtering. And just think that every single feature here is designed to make your user's journey more seamless and feel more integrated with the platform in general. So we're moving along. There's a lot of features. It's been a busy, busy year. Application communications. And here we start with one that's quite interesting. It's protocol handlers. So the same way that we just saw that a PWA can now be registered to handle files, it can also be registered to handle protocols or schemes. So it has, of course, support on Windows, Mac, Chrome OS, and Linux. It's enabled as we've seen in other features as well in the manifest file, and it can be used either for custom schemes. So let's say that you have a PWA that you wanted to handle the mail to type of protocol links. So you can do that now. And upon installation, the PWA is that's going to register itself to launch when you click on a mail to, and it's going to pre-populate the address and all the information as any other application would. And you can also define your custom schemes, which would start with a web plus. For example, you can create a web plus mail. In the case of our humble application, it handles links of the type web plus pointer, and again, 3 hex colors that will create. You can see how the user agent will prompt to ask, do you want to let this application open the link? And there you go. It will open the application based on the different information that you're going to have on the link. It's pretty cool. So web share. This one, again, self-explanatory, allows the content to be shared from the web app. Supported on Windows, Mac OS, and Android, and it's used from the JavaScript API navigator.share. So let's think quickly about a scenario about sharing. It's May 2020. It's one of those typical hard-working days at the office. Shane requires a PWA branded logo for a pandemic PWA online event that he needs to promote. This is a conversation from Shane, from marketing, and Tracy, which is a designer from the brand team. It goes more or less like this. Morning, Tracy. Can you generate a PWA logo with our branding colors? I need it for an online campaign. Then Tracy, yes, Shane, I will create it and send it ASAP. Tracy then goes and creates the branded logo. And the process can go something like this. The file is saved in the file system. She opens the email client, composes an email to Shane, sends that email, forgets to attach the file. It happens to, the best of us, especially when there's cheese and wine at work. So then you resend the email with the attachment. But this could have gone very, very differently. It could have been, you just click on the share UI in the PWA. You select the sharing option from the ones that you will get depending on the platform that you are in. And then you just send the email, which is already pre-populated, even with the file that you wanted to attach. So that's what, honestly, I would describe as another successful day at work, all powered by the WebShare API. So if we're thinking about WebShare, this is the type of UI that you get on Windows. Again, you can see that it's the native sharing UI, where you can use either nearby sharing, you can email people, or you can just share with another app, which could be another PWA. As you can see, there are a couple of links to the printer there. And this is how it looks on Mac. It's kind of as how you would expect it to be sharing files depending on the platform that you are actually using. And of course, you can share from the PWA. You can share as well to the PWA. So again, pretty self-explanatory, supported on Windows and macOS, and it's, of course, enabled in the manifest file. This is like that video from the developer that's looking at someone putting little pieces, circles, triangles, and everything in the square hole. So here's just the manifest file. So the WebShare, it's really, really cool. In this case, I am sharing a web page to the printer. It looks a bit dark, but basically it's gathering I think it's the title of the page, and it's detecting the hex code, and then it's opening the PWA with a logo created in this color. So just a simple example of how powerful it can be sharing from different applications. So if we go back to the common misconceptions that we had, which is, PWAs are only for offlining mobile apps. That kind of used to be the case back in, 2017, but we're a lot more evolved now. It's just a wrapped website. It's not necessarily just a wrapped website. It's a proper application that has proper integration with the platform that you are running it in. And, it's not a null tech or a stale concept because basically we keep on evolving the web with new and better capabilities. So a couple of things that I want to highlight in the last minutes of the presentation. Dev trials. Whenever you want to test anything new that we are launching, you probably will find it on the edge flags or about flags. This is what we call the dev trials, and this is where you're going to find all the experiments. Most of these features, you will find them first on, of course, on Canary, and you're going to be able to come here, enable them, and try them out. Once we pass that stage, then you can go to Origin Trials. If you want to test one of these features with a broader set of users, your users, then you can just register for the Origin Trials. You can find all the information in the links that are on the slides. You can register to the Origin Trials, and then every user that has a compatible browser will get the feature enabled without them having to go to Edge flags and enable it, because that's not really good to be asking your users to go and try experiments. But something that's not really well known is that while we have, and by we I mean Edge, while in Edge we have our Origin trials that are completely independent from the Chrome ones, we also support every single Origin trial that is running on the Chrome platform. So you can be sure that you're going to be, let's say, working with both trials. Couple of more takeaways. Microsoft Edge Insider channels, ak.ms/Edge Insider. Here you can find versions of Dev, Beta, and Canary. So important if you want to try a feature that's still under development. Project Fugu. If you want to see a backlog of the things that we're currently evaluating to work on, either from a Microsoft, Google, Igalia, or other browser vendor, then feel free to go to the Fugu tracker. There's a lot of information there. There's a lot of very cool things that are currently coming to the platform as well. Experimental features in the browser, we've already seen this. It's the about or edge flags. In this case, you're going to be able to turn on and off flags to test different features. Feedback is really important, and it's definitely key for us. Origin trials, feedback that we get from forums in the browser, or even comments that we get on Twitter, you can rest assured that we read absolutely every single comment that gets sent to us. I did not think this was true, but apparently it is. It's a lot of feedback, but we read it all. And important, very, very important, the manifest file is key to enabling not only advanced features that I've mentioned throughout this presentation, but also discovery, because if you're listing on an application store, a lot of the fields for screenshots, for the icon, for the description are going to be grabbed from the manifest. But also in different online repos, you're going to be seeing that the manifest is the source for this information as well. And of course, platform integration. We've seen several features that deal exclusively with platform integration and that they are enabled through the manifest. And possibly the most important link in all this presentation, we all know what's going on. Every little helps. So if you can make a donation to the Ukraine humanitarian appeal, that is very much appreciated. So we've seen a list of some of the features that we've been working on the Edge team over the past year. I think that's a quite interesting list that makes me quite confident to say that desktop platform is the new frontier for progressive web apps. There are a bunch of other things that we're currently thinking about at the moment. If you have any feedback, if you have any ideas, feel free to come and let us know. We're open to suggestions. We're open to see what other feature might enable your application to either come into the store or to become a PWA. We're all ears, and I'm definitely more than happy to have a chat with any of you. Also, I'm excited about what is the next frontier. If we're talking desktop today, I hope that in the near future, we're going to have more news to announce, but there's definitely a lot to get excited. Thank you very much.